piece was written during the 2023 WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. Without the labor of writers and actors currently on strike, Barbie and Oppenheimer, which I'll be covering here today, would not exist.
So as you know, Barbie and Oppenheimer have released on the same day, and it's become this whole big-ass event. And the internet is with the shits. And so am I. I watched both on opening night with my friend, with a ticket to Barbie at 8:40 p.m. and Oppenheimer at 1:05 a.m. at another theater 40 minutes away. So yeah, let's just freaking get into it. My only regret is that I don't have one of those Barbenheimer shirts, but you already know I'm gonna get one.
It is so hot. I don't miss the heat of the attic. Oh, Barbie. I wanted to see Barbie because of Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie. And also because Greta Gerwig was directing this. I didn't pay attention to the hype about the posters with the characters, and I didn't even see the second trailer until I was sat down in the theater. My focus on Barbie wasn't at maximum, but I wasn't going to miss it because I had intentions of seeing it prior to Barbenheimer. I'll say head on that I liked Barbie. No surprise there, but listen, I have reasons. As if I need to defend my opinion anyway. The movie is adored by audiences and critics alike. Barbie is not what I expected it to be, at all. My assumption going into it was that Barbie would be going through her daily shenanigans in Barbieland, right? And then would start feeling self-aware as time went on and eventually venture into the real world with Ken. And then they'd, I don't know, accustom to human life and see that things are more than just their plastic life. Which, in a way, I wasn't entirely wrong, but it was executed way differently than I imagined. As the movie begins, we're hit with that plain old scene about how boring dolls are boring and how extravagant Barbie has been for girls because Barbie can be a president, a lawyer, a doctor, blah, blah, blah. So on and so forth. And then title sequence and a song. And after like 30 seconds of this, I'm like, what are we watching? Because everyone's just waving to each other. My point is they really play into the life of Barbie, and I was caught off guard. The shower doesn't throw water, milk doesn't pour out, and she can float down to her car. Anyway, I love the beef that Kens have with each other because it's such a joke. What is even a beach off? But our main man Ryan Gosling is goddamn great in here. I want and need him to win a supporting role for Ken. Let's get the Golden Globe out here at least, if not the Oscars. I love the Kens, and Alan has become my second favorite character. There's also this dance routine which made me laugh because it's so random. Everyone was a part of it and they were smiling and it's just normal to them. I'm a chuckly person, okay? And I just love that the Kens had a little part in this routine. Go Kens! Another point I want to praise real quick is Kate McKinnon's role as Weird Barbie. Her physicality, even though it wasn't shown that much, and she did not perform those stunts with the splits, it was still a standout to me and reminded me of Jim Carrey's mannerisms, specifically his role in The Grinch. Danger! So Ken is desperate for Barbie. He just wants to be with her and Barbie's just like, nah, man. So when she sets out to the real world, Ken sneaks along and men, I should say. Ken goes through the hardest red pill, Andrew Tate, patriarchal experience of his life out there in the real world. And now I shall disclaim, I am a guy, I'm a dude, I'm a bro. A lady might have felt otherwise about his masculine awakening, but to moi, it was quite comical. They show men getting out of cars, fist bumping, interacting, men working out, men on horses, a man dismissing a woman, Bill Clinton, president on the dollar bill, kickbacks with a mini fridge, and Rocky Balboa. And Ken is just eating it all up. Ken feels like the man and brings this all back to Barbie Land, which, how does that happen? Because he's a silly guy. We meet Will Ferrell as Mattel's CEO. They're a bunch of characters, and by characters I mean goofy mofos with the whispering and I'm a nephew to a woman on and chasing Barbie around the office all loony toony. The thing about Barbie is that I just find it to be a great fun time. I don't have much to say about it in the regular review critique aspect that I don't even do. I could drag this out to make it longer and just gloss over all the plot points, but it would be a waste of time for us, meaning you and me. So I'm just gonna go over some bulleted points. The sequence of awakening Barbies is a highlight for me. Alan is golden and he cares about Ken so much, and for why? I need to know. He yelled for ages at the beginning beach scene and was in tears when Ken was heartbroken at the end. And how is Barbie smart? Because she knows about genitalia. She blocked off the Mattel execs with a broom behind the door. Like she knows all these antics and whatnot. There were a few more moments that had me with question marks above my head that I can't recall at the moment. When Barbie and Ken come to the real world, Barbie is hammered with stares and catcalls. And I just found this funny because of how immediate these actions occurred upon their arrival. Her line about entendres, sensing them double, was Sasha, the teen character, was a brat, but I like how you can see her sentiment change as they journey to Barbie Land. When Ken was finding a job and he has to see a man, not caring at all to what the woman doctor was telling him. When Ken was talking to a corporate guy and says to him, "They're not doing patriarchy," to which the guy laughs hard and says, "We are, just more subtle." Ryan Gosling as Ken is awesome with the way he laughs, his attitude and innocence towards things, the slight regret he expresses when he kicks Barbie out of her own home. One of my favorite moments is towards the end when all the Kens are saying, "Here, I'll show you, here, I'll show you," because it's funny and it leads to the scene where Ryan Gosling sings and plays guitar for 4 hours in that slightly funny southern accent. To which it zooms out and all the other Kens are playing guitar and singing the exact same song. If I have to say that's funny or goofy or that I laughed one more time, and who is not a fan of I'm Just Ken and the beach war and the dance routine? It's a pillar of the monument. It's monumentally momentous, sublime. And of course, I'm missing the big elephant in the room, and I'll address that in the way that I want to. The ending of Barbie is perfect. I highlight all the goofs and fun because that's what I will be coming to this movie for in the future. A fun time. But the final moments when the creator of Barbie appears and they're in the white room talking about being human, that part, Barbie wants the imperfection of being truly alive. This movie shows some faults of both sides of the world in situations where women are treated with minimal respect and men aren't cared for on a deeper emotional level. The Barbies at one point are bartenders and masseuses, and when Barbie is asked where the Kens sleep, she doesn't even know. The compilation with Billie's song is so touching. I can see why some relate to this so well, and I'll even admit, I got a bit emotional. Barbie is a great fun time with a, in my opinion, strong, impactful ending and 2 fun leads that you cannot complain about. I can't think of a more joyful time watching a movie than this one. So Oppenheimer was my choice of interest when comparing my anticipation. I wanted to see this for Christopher Nolan, and while yes, I did want to see Barbie for Greta Gerwig, Oppenheimer was a movie for me to slobber over. Barbie was what seemed like a fun time, whereas Oppenheimer was a film for me to envelop and soak in and just be a lover of film for. Nolan has established himself as a director, delivering hits with his lack of CGI use, shooting in film, and man, his eventual love for IMAX cameras. There's credibility. I'm not pooping on Greta Gerwig. This was her 3rd directorial feature, 4th overall behind the camera. I enjoy Lady Bird and I own Little Women digitally. And with my headspace going into Oppenheimer addressed, let's pop out the voiceover. Was Oppenheimer what I expected? Yes and no. The premise was exactly what I thought it was. It's about the man who created the atomic bomb and the court proceedings after. Except I thought it was a linear story, but it was more so interwoven with the black and white scenes of the hearings. I saw this interview here about how Matt Damon said Nolan wanted the cast to support Cillian as he'll be carrying the movie on his back. That could not be more true because I felt like Cillian Murphy was truly the only lead role. If I had to slide another actor under lead, it'd be Matt Damon or Robert Downey Jr. because they were pretty important on screen, but hands down, one man with an army of support was so, I don't know, cool?
The title Oppenheimer is not for show, they meant it. Something I'm really a fan of that I was even able to point out at 4 in the morning in a zombie state was that Oppenheimer has great storytelling. There's minimal action in here driven by drama and suspense here and there with people coming and going. Alex Wolff was in the beginning for a bit, Jack Quaid was recruited and then mostly was seen as background. Dane DeHaan was a little devious bastard all throughout, while Devin Bostic spoke in 2 scenes and we see him throw up after the oh so amazing stomping rally speech. I thought Florence Pugh was gonna play a bigger part, and people are saying you can't spoil this movie. Well, guess what? If you're not aware of some of these events in history, then that's a spoiler for the movie. Emily Blunt did well playing Kitty, his wife who did not seemingly have much of life at the time, stuck at home tending to children in the middle of Los Alamos with a husband who would cheat. But she stuck through and played some nice malice towards the prosecuting sons of bitches, such as Jason Clarke's Roger Robb at the end. Suspense came in as Casey Affleck interrogated Oppenheimer in that small room as the scenes would switch back and forth to the train with Matt Damon. I didn't even know Benny Safdie was the man who played Edward Teller because he looked like he had eyeliner on and his hair was different and he had an accent. He was a real one but just could never fully agree with Oppenheimer. Alden Ehrenreich was one of Strauss's aides who did not agree with the hearing once he knew the truth, and they even got Gary Oldman as President Truman. Tom Conti appeared as Albert Einstein. If you didn't think that was a cool portrayal to see, I don't know what to tell you. Josh Peck was background, but integral to the Trinity test scene. David Krumholtz was Oppenheimer's friend till the end and made sure he ate. Josh Hartnett was Ernest Lawrence, who worked on the actual physics while Oppenheimer worked theory. David Dastmalchian was the little vagina used as a pawn to start the closed hearing on Oppie, while Rami Malek came in at the end to be the person on his side when he was only disrespected by Oppenheimer on the 2 occasions on screen prior. Robert Downey Jr. has received praise for his role as Louis Strauss to receive an Oscar nomination for supporting actor, and I'll admit, I didn't get it at first. I'm like, what's all the hubbub about? The guy's barely in the movie. And I was gonna save this for the end, but I want to mention right now that I did see it 2 times just so I can get a grasp of what I wanted to talk about in this video. I am now more understanding of the praise for Downey's performance. In the beginning, his character comes off as friendly, but slowly just evolves into an antagonist. At the height of the bomb building, you kind of forget about him, where in the final third of the movie, he is shoved in your face. Alden's character here is trying to find out how the files were received on Oppenheimer because the whole operation is starting to seem sketchy, and this is where Downey shines. Downey plays a conniving bozo once the truth starts slipping out. He raises his voice, he gets abrasive, he's a liar, he was made a fool of, he can put a smile on for the cameras, and apparently Strauss is apparently regarded as one of the most villainous people in American history. It almost seemed like he could get away with everything because he has so much confidence. He seems kind of scary. And to that third act performance with emotion, I'll agree to the Oscar hype. And with that scary guy out the way, I really enjoyed Matt Damon's character, General Groves. He's a professional in his field. He knows the people in it, and he has the confidence to delegate and carry out his tasks. His relationship with Oppenheimer was a sort of like a best friend by force situation. Maybe you are wondering, why am I name dropping half the cast? Well, this is one of the few ways I've come to the conclusion that I can talk about this movie and how I enjoyed it. The cast shows that there are really a lot of moving parts here. There are a lot of notable names here. The cast is star-studded, but they don't steal the show. It's just cool that they're in it, like Rami. And it just further exemplifies Nolan's point that this all rides off of Cillian's back. It's so refreshing to me. I'm not saying it's the first time it's done, but it's done really well. I can't think of a movie at the moment to do this as well as I regard Oppenheimer, so no need to crucify. You wanna know what else I liked?
The oomph of sound and visual. Upon my second viewing, I forgot that the beginning was filled with this astronomical imagery that represented, I don't know, just science, man. It takes you out of the 20s and into Nolanatic schematics. I just wanted to say that, but it's a nice visual aid to spice things up. This movie needs a nomination for at least sound design because the narrative and storytelling at hand are great, but what we hear supplements Oppenheimer so well. The score enhances the mood of the scenes, adding adventure and curiosity.
or impending doom and gloom? The music hypes up the Trinity test as detonation time nears. It is a freaking character in itself, and kudos to 𝙍𝙀𝙁𝘾𝙄𝘼𝑺. His resume is stacked up. I didn't think the bomb was as insane as I thought it would be, but my god, the countdown is such a centerpiece amidst all the chaos of everyone prepping and getting into position. The countdown is one of my favorite aspects of this movie, where what follows is silence. The bomb looks nice. It's not the typical nuke we're used to, but it's practical. I can't help but admire the testing that went on to achieve such a look when you could have done something with a computer. From the countdown to the silence to a loud blast that may or may not have been a jump scare to me. And last but not least, for sound and visuals, one of my favorite scenes of Oppenheimer when he goes to make that speech after Japan was bombed. That stomping sound would excite me so much during the trailer, and it is incorporated in parts of the movie when Oppie starts feeling overwhelmed, and oh my god. I just love it as a sound cue. In this speech, we see where the stomps come from, and it is probably the most standout scene. His hearing starts to fade, the atmosphere behind him starts to distort, and the screen flashes like the bomb. A woman's face is peeling and everyone turns to dust. This part did jump scare me because I was not ready for that sound. This scene is almost horror-like. As Oppenheimer steps out after his speech, he sees a woman crying. He accidentally steps into a burnt, dusted-off body. There's a couple hugging each other, just concerned about everything. And we see Devon's character vomiting and mucusing. Sound and visual. And again, maybe we're hitting a part of the video where you're saying, gee, he hasn't talked about the story yet. Well, it's a non-fiction story based on a biography, so I don't have much ambition to go over it. Do you get what I'm saying? This shit actually happened. However, I'll talk about it now as best as I can because my main 2 points are out of the way. The story of J. Robert Oppenheimer. Well, of course, I enjoyed the interpretation. I just slobbered over the visuals, cast, and sound to you all. It was a nice touch to see the early university days. He faces anxieties and even has hateful thoughts against his professor. Wild that he even acted on it. His relationship with Jean was a bit funny with the whole flowers thing, but ultimately became a frowner when she passed. Yes, he did cheat, but listen, Oppenheimer had already experienced his Ken awakening at this point. Oh my god. Look, this story moves fast. It is a story about science, and not the cool part of it, but theory and discussion. Well, a bomb is interesting, but atoms and electrons and... You get what I'm saying? It's not like space exploration or deep sea diving or I don't know. So the fact that it moves fast coupled with a beautiful score just keeps you hooked. I don't think there's a slow part that drags except after the Trinity test, which makes sense. It's a pretty atomical event where there's a valid reason for it being slow. At first, it's an achievement to celebrate, but once America used it against Japan, it became something to dread and oppose. This has to sink in. I was a real big fan of the recruiting process and the meetups in front of the chalkboard and the marbles in the glass and Oppenheimer's talks with Groves. The dialogue is so filled with WTF words that the common civilian won't understand, but things are going and going that you have no choice but to listen and pay 100% to what's going on because you either will lose some bit of information or you're hoping that maybe the next scene will further elaborate on what the hell is going on. Although the dialogue of Oppenheimer can be a bit hard to follow with scientific jargon and a ton of names that, after 2 viewings, I still haven't fully grasped, it's packaged perfect enough to hold anyone's attention. Christopher Nolan has once again delivered a crushing ass hit. I usually like to buy my movies digitally through Apple TV, but there's a video with the man himself saying that physical media is the way to go.
The home video versions of my films, the definitive versions, are the Blu-ray and the 4K versions because there's much less compression. There's very specific authoring. We control the color of the picture, the brightness, you know, all these things. When you stream a film, it's like broadcasting a film. We don't have much control over how it goes out.
Not once did I ever think about how we consume home media, but damn, This might have to be a physical 4K purchase. Oppenheimer is an adventure to me, and I already want to see it a third time. From its opening with a quote spliced with galactical imagery, interwoven with black and white scenes viewed through 70mm, and an ending I might call one of my recent favorites with Einstein and the stomping anxiety. Oppenheimer is worth the 3-hour sit. So where does that leave us? These two movies are successes, both financially and critically. I watched both on opening night, and then I ran the double feature back on Tuesday, and just again, actually yesterday, on Friday, I had to watch Barbie a third time because I had used up all of my creative writing juices on Oppenheimer. Barbie and Oppenheimer are two totally different movies, and I'm glad it became a phenomenon to bring more people in to see both, really. And I just want to tell a little story real quick from opening night. For Barbie, there was this, I checked the seating chart. There was nobody to my right, sitting next to my friend. There was this random guy who had sat to my left. He goes and despawns into the abyss. No one knows where he went. He comes back with snacks, and he sits two to the right of my friend. More people pile in, and eventually the guy has to get up and sit directly next to my friend. There was nobody there on the seating chart, so because he had to seat hop 3, 2, whatever times, I don't believe that guy was meant to be there. And he was such a menace. He would laugh at pretty much everything. Every minute, every 30 seconds, this motherfucker was laughing. The title sequence came up, he laughed. He laughed like 100,000 times, okay? That's my point. I missed the Zack Snyder joke because out of the 100 times that he laughed, the Zack Snyder part was his loudest. He jizzed everywhere. And every time I watched the movie, the audiences were pretty enjoyable. They laughed at everything. It was a nice time. It was a nice environment to be around. However, on my first viewing, the 3 girls on my left had no reactions, no emotions, not even a peek. What is going on? And for Oppenheimer, let's just say, long story short, I was in the back row, and then I had to give up my seat, which took me to row B, the second closest to the screen. This meme sums up my experience. I was sleepy after an hour because it was 1:05 a.m. My body was uncomfortable, and it was just, Barbie gives me one of my favorite recent performances with Ryan Gosling, and let's sprinkle in Michael Cera in there just because he's also in the movie and I enjoyed him, while Oppenheimer feeds the film lover in me. However, I will say, when booking a Barbenheimer double feature, and I've done it twice, I do look forward to watching Oppenheimer more. At least that's my sentiment at the moment, okay? Big shout out and a big thank you to the cast and crew of both of these movies, because obviously without their work, these two productions would not exist. And one last note here, my friends, for the real ones that are still watching, I am so excited to be posting content again. My Flash video and Ezra video took so much effort, but it's been worth it. They've reached over 1,000 views. It paid off because 3 of my 5 latest uploads have hit over, or at least have touched 1,000 views. I'm up about 71 subscribers since about June 1st as well. And I'm still at a point where I don't know how my content's gonna do. You know, nothing's for sure, nothing's certain. But this newfound growth has given me this confidence, and I feel excited to create again. It has only been 3 weeks, but trust me, those 3 weeks felt really long. I haven't felt this pumped in a while to make stuff. This video here took a week longer to produce than I had wanted to, but I think the final result will be worth it. So thank you for watching. And because I have a lot more eyes on me, I do say at the end of my videos to love to love what you like, because you should unforgivably bask in what makes you passionate, regardless of how much or how many times people poop on you. Have a good one. Oh shit, oh yeah, this is my 50th video, and I'm pretty much at 200 subscribers, so this is like a double feature, double celebration sort of thing. Okay, it's getting windy.